here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No! Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good evening / early morning. We are live right now from Starbase, Texas, where, as you can see on your screen, the people over at Starbase have decided to take Booster 19 out on an evening stroll over to Pad 2 for some more testing. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this stream on this rollout back to the pad. Of course, as always, I am not alone. Joining me is D Wise. How's it going, D?
It is going really well, you know. We've got a booster on the move ahead of flight. It's really exciting to see as things really start to build up and we get closer and closer to launch here.
Oh, we're merrily we roll along. And also joining is Roger. How's it going, Roger?
Hey, Sawyer. Hi, D. Yeah, it's exciting times, as D said, that getting this back to the pad. We'll see what happens when it gets there. Hopefully it'll be mated with Ship 39 down the road. So we're watching the road closures, and we'll just keep you up to date with what we see.
Absolutely. And of course, we have the amazing Starbase team out in the field. We've got Caesar, Gage, and Colleen all out there this evening / morning. And pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, is the one and only Kevin Michael Reed. So, if you have any questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight or at NSF, and we will do our best to answer as many of your questions as we can. Now, one of the obvious things that we're seeing right now compared to the last time we saw this booster roll out, Roger, is, that part on the screen there, that wasn't painted before, was it?
No, it wasn't. This is kind of exciting to see if they'll go forward and if it serves any particular purpose or just decoration. I think there may be some other stuff. Hopefully we'll get some sunlight and some cameras on it, but fingers crossed there's more than just paint at the bottom.
Oh, we'll have to see, especially as it goes into the different lighting. But why would they maybe paint it, Roger?
I don't know. I mean, it could be for camera effects. It may be for thermal protection as it's re-entering. Because you see as the booster comes down, underneath of the engines gets really hot. But with the new engine configuration, with their more exposed, that's going to put a whole new thermal dynamic in that. So this could be that they're just taking that into account and, like I said, the test as they fly, and we'll hopefully see what it comes, if they get good pictures of it when it comes down.
Absolutely. And of course, flying with style, I guess, is a part of it here. And there's definitely some style to Booster 19 now at this point. Oh man, that is such a beautiful shot again as it rolls out from the production site over to the pad. And can't wait to see what else gets painted on that. And especially once we get to the ship, if we finally see the return of some of those stickers or insignias or denotations on it that we've seen in the past. Any predictions on if we might see that, Roger? What do you think?
I hope so. I mean, I miss the decals. Those were so cool in the past, and they kind of went away from them. But it'll be nice to see the ships, and down the road, if we get more than just names on the ships, once they start getting reused, are they going to have maybe the crewed ones will have a naming convention to them? So again, it's exciting times. We're just in the renaissance of new spaceflight here. Not only SpaceX, Blue Origin, Relativity, all these other companies that are going. Is just such an exciting time.
It really is. The era of the super heavies has arrived Forget the 747s and A380s. Now we're getting the New Glenns and the Starships here. Here's a question from Dennis, who's asking, is the FTS installed yet? Dee, will we even possibly be able to know that yet?
I don't think we can really know for certain one way or another. We should keep a close eye out. I think we thought there was some FTS work potentially happening, but whether they actually have FTS installed on the booster, I don't know. So we're going to have to keep a close eye out as we get closer to the launch and really see what exactly needs to happen on the FTS still.
Exactly. Is that something they would install now? And if it is installed, that would probably be more inclined to say that they are going to keep it out at the pad. But I guess that brings up another question, and I'm going to speculate this one with all of us. Do you think that this is the final time we see Booster 19 roll out, or do you think that this is just one for testing and then we see it roll back again? Dee, I'm going to start with you, and then I'll ask Roger.
I wouldn't be surprised either way. You know, SpaceX likes to move quickly, but they can do these rolls really quickly. They haven't been afraid to roll the booster out to the pad, roll it back, and so I wouldn't be surprised or expect any sort of major delay, even if they do end up bringing it back to the prod site. But I don't know. It feels... Can I say it feels early for it to go out to the pad and stay out at the pad?
I mean, it's definitely possible to say. As of right now, the latest paperwork that we've seen with all of the local marine notices and all of that is indicating no earlier than May 15th. So it did bump back 3 days from the original paperwork that we saw. So that would be middle of the month, which would still be, what is that, quick math, 9 days from now. I don't know, Roger, do you think then if they want to hit that 9 days that they would keep it out there? Do we see it roll back?
Oh, they would. Well, I was going by an X post by an account called NASASpaceflight earlier today, doing some speculation with rollout, ship rollout, and I would anticipate first you're going to see a wet dress rehearsal because we have not seen a full load with the ship and the ship quick disconnect happen yet, and all that plumbing's got to be checked out. I mean, we're talking new ships, new boosters, new pads, so that's all going to be checked out. I wouldn't be surprised if after that they roll it back for one final go. I mean, this is an important launch to them. I won't say the words IPO is playing into this, but you never know because they want to put on a good show. They want to put on, show HLS that they are continuing on with progress towards Artemis 3. Again, they're going to be checking this very thoroughly. They want to make sure this goes as well as possible for Flight 12.
Absolutely, but at the same time, the first time we saw the static fire test, it was so short because of the ground support issues that we saw during that testing there. So, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was some concerns about the deluge system. We've seen that tested. I believe it. Let's see. What's today? Tuesday. Yeah, we had the Raptor side. There was a deluge test earlier today. Before that, there was one yesterday. So they're really trying to put that through its paces because that is such an important piece. I mean, the vehicles are incredible, but the infrastructure, the launch pad, all the plumbing and the piping to make the ground support system work properly. I mean, you're talking loading this thing 5,000 tons of fuel in half an hour. That's just mind-boggling in itself. So yeah, they got to make sure everything's going, get all their ducks in a row, and then hopefully they'll be flying soon after.
Yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't be surprising to see it roll back shortly after, but at the same time, the thing worth noting is how fast SpaceX is at turning things around. So assuming that all goes well with the static fire, which is what we're, I'm sure, expecting in the coming days here, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to roll it back, roll it out, and get very close to that May 15th date. Knowing SpaceX, I would never rule those dates out when it's like, oh, the window opens the 15th? Yeah, it's SpaceX. You never rule them out.
Yeah,
that's
most
a really
definitely.
good point. Like, we cannot rule out any of the dates, but also, I mean, it's the Starship program. We talk about it all the time. Like, you have to be ready for all those changes. And we've already seen the date. It just slipped 3 days today because it had been the 12th. And it can absolutely shift around. This is a testing campaign. And while they're moving quickly, they, like you said, they need to get this stuff right. So if something comes up, while they will be quick to address anything that they need to, that doesn't mean that that date is like guaranteed by any means. But I don't know. I do feel good. Like it's gonna happen this month.
I think that's a very, very, very strong possibility there. And, I mean, it's hard to follow and act like Booster 19, although Gage is the one currently following Booster 19 right now with this camera view. So shout out to Gage there. Even though it's like 12:45 a.m. where I am, had to get a little wordplay in. Also, have to thank some people for their support already as we continue to also work on more of your questions here. Sausage Man saying, got some KFC. Let's watch the booster roll. No, this is Texas, not Florida. Oh, KFC, not KSC. But I'm Tish. And Bideford. Thank you, D. I appreciate the pity laugh. And Bideford saying, how many of us can hit the like button to say thank you to NSF for providing us with this stream? Sawyer, D, and Roger. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Of course, while we're talking about the rollback, one of the things that was pointed out is some tape that was seen originally on the chines. Roger, there's a question here saying, are the chines now welded together, or are they still taped together from Mr. Space?
As far as we know, there's still tape on them, and they're bolted closed. I don't think they're welded yet, so we'll have to see if that's what the final configuration is. That might be one of the things if they roll back after this current set of testing to finalize that and nail that all down. But we'll just have to see. But yeah, as of right now, it's not welded.
Yeah, I mean that might be important going forward. We'll see. But then again, I always say that SpaceX. Who knows? Let's see. Reverain's also asking, does SpaceX have a license yet? I don't think they have one yet for this flight because it's such a, it's a new vehicle. It's a totally different vehicle here compared to what we saw from version 2. We also saw that they're changing the trajectory compared to what we originally saw as well from the past flights with that more southerly trajectory. So, that's probably going to mean, if I had to guess, D, that they're needing a totally new license for this.
I would expect so. As far as the licensing stuff, I'm far from the expert there, but I mean, you can keep track on all of the different milestones getting closer to Flight 12 over on Next Spaceflight. So we've seen the proof campaigns for booster and ship, but now we are waiting ahead of a static fire campaign, and you can always keep an eye on those different steps as we get closer to launch over on Next Spaceflight.
Exactly. It's something we're going to have to see when that comes out and what the changes are in particular, and also what this means for V3 going forward. So that'll be very interesting as well. Is this going to be their continued planned trajectory? Are they going to be actually having cameras potentially on any of those Starlink mass simulators, or the new Starlinks that they're putting on these? So there's a lot that we'll have to see when that comes out, although I guess that's more of FCC versus FAA. Let's see here. Binware Done That was asking, what's the miles per hour speed on that thing, or meters per second for the metric geeks? Roger, do we know approximately what that is?
For the SPMTs, it's usually about 1.5 to 2 miles per hour. So do your math. Was that 4 kilometers per hour? I'm bad at math, but yeah, it's amazing, those SPMTs. They're just their own unique, amazing engineering feat in itself. That road it's a lot better than what it was, but these things are rolling a 200-ton vehicle, 200 meters tall, down a road that's not that great, and it's keeping everything level. It's they can't let this thing tip over. I think the tribute to them was when they took the Pad 2 OLM out, and they had 3 of them, and they had to get through running off the road and going through the sand. But those things are just amazing. They've just been put to great use there at Starbase.
I have to say, this feels so much faster, especially after the whole Artemis campaign and all of the rollouts with the mobile launcher, which is a lot slower, but also given the fact that you're not only carrying the entire rocket, but also the entire launch pad with it, I think it gets a little bit of a pass there for that drive. And also, we saw some SPMTs out there as well. I believe, D, those were similar vehicles to what they used to at least get Artemis 3's core stage over to the VAB. Were those SPMTs, or am I thinking something different?
I believe they were. I was actually not out that day. But yet, I mean, that was just last week now that the core stage made its way off of Pegasus into the VAB, and we're just over a month following Artemis 2. So, I mean, things are picking up in spaceflight in Starbase on the Space Coast, and I mean, everything from Starship to New Glenn to, of course, SLS are crucial for NASA's plans here with the Artemis program.
Absolutely. Of course, the goal to have Artemis 3 and the Orion capsule do its sort of practice of what it might be doing out towards the moon in Earth orbit, with whichever of the 2 lunar landers is ready, either or both. And that would include the Blue Moon Mark II from Blue Origin, as well as basically what you're seeing on the screen, the HLS version of Starship. So I hope we get to see some of those next year. Of course, it's a little bit of a tight schedule given the fact that we haven't seen Blue Moon Mark I really fly yet. We also haven't seen a Starship version 3 fly yet. So a lot of still question marks up in the air. Well, on the ground, hopefully up in space. Let me thank some people here. Eric getting a hat over at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. Saying thank you for all you guys do. My go-to source for space news. Amazing work by Sawyer, Ryan, Alex. I'll throw D in there as well. And the entire NSF team. Can't leave out D. Although D does have a question here from Mr. Fluffy saying, which seashore do you like the best?
You're trying to get me in trouble, Mr. Fluffy.
Yes, I need to hear this answer.
I can't say the quote with the people I am on stream with right now, or I will I think I'll get like relinquished to the side for the rest of the stream if I do.
Oh, the thinking music is on.
Yeah. I think I have to carry on the tradition of saying West Coast, Best Coast.
Oh, man, is that your final answer? So you don't have the rights to the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music. It's the closest thing. Final answer?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer. It was actually East Coast. We would have also accepted the Wyoming coast. And then William Foss, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership as well. Again, as we have our camera here in our tracking vehicle following right behind it. That is so cool. Again, shout out to Gage for doing that and riding along behind it.
Yeah, if we want the speed, the exact speed of travel, I think Gage can get that right now, but of course he is busy focused on the road.
Yeah, well, I mean, also the fact that I don't know if the speedometer goes up that fast. Unless you have one of those digital readouts, it's not going to be like, oh, here's, 5 miles per hour or anything. If anything, it may be 1 or 2. And I guess it depends on how fine-tuned the needle is. So.
Yeah, and that's what's so unique about Starbase and this era. Hopefully, we'll see how long it lasts. But, and not to shout out myself, but I've done this. You can be watching the vehicle pass literally feet from you as it passes the production site, and then jump in your car and just be part of the parade going down. It's just surreal that you can do this and you can be that close to these things.
It really is. That's a cool shot, by the way, with the X in the background as the booster rolls right in front of it. Here's an interesting question. Petricor is saying, what do you think the odds are, Roger, that they do a double roll and stack Starship on top of the booster?
Well, I think we're going to get a stack. I'm looking at the road delays. There's one for, this one here goes to 4 a.m. Then we got a Massey to production that's happening, it might be happening here. We've got some closures coming up, a beach closure tomorrow evening. So I'm not sure when the ship will go, but we're definitely going to be taking a look at it because they got to get this thing stacked so they can do their full testing that they need to check out not only the vehicles but the pad. Oh, I'm hearing in the back channel that the Massey one is Ship 40 will be returning tomorrow from the Massey back to the production site.
A lot still happening at Starbase. It's wild with all the closures and rolls and everything, so I wouldn't put it past them, but at the same time, I mean, I think all of this right now is on the booster campaign, and depending on how well static fires and things go, I could see them maybe then afterwards rolling out the ship after the static fire testing, but we'll see. And one thing we can also hear at the moment is that SPMTs. Maybe we can do a little SPMT ASMR for a little bit here as it rolls right by.
Always love those views like we had just a couple moments ago, really looking up to the very top from right next to those boosters. It's such a unique perspective, and it's so rare to get that extreme a perspective on the rockets.
Yeah, also shout out DJKMR with the SPMTA SMR.
I was going to give a shout out to the SBL ops down there. They are down there. I know who was on highway. I don't know if it was Eric or RC Horseman. Rick was on that, but nice job, guys.
I did see someone. There you go. Yep. And I did see someone say that I found really interesting, saying, "I can't wait for the Slick 37 5-hour rollouts." I mean, thinking about the layout of KSC, would they still just have to roll everything out, you think, when they start using 37 from Roberts Road all the way out to 37?
Well, they're going to have to roll it out one way or another. I'm just trying to think of the sort of path they're going to have to take between... I mean, of course, like with the SPMTs and with vehicles this tall being transported vertically, one of the things they have to consider is any of the grade. So going up on bridges, not necessarily an option. And so they'd probably be going on a very roundabout route past the VAB and the press site near 39A, and then down from the KSC side all the way down to 37, which is definitely a longer route, and not as close to where cameras can be placed in the public for sure. But I mean, they have to roll them out one way or another until they are truly just on the pad, fill it up again level of reusable. They're gonna have to bring them back to the Gigabay and do work on them there, I would expect. So hopefully we will see plenty of these rollouts. And I saw someone questioning the length of time in shutting down roads, but they really do limit the time they actually fully block the road. So we're seeing, like, cars are still following the booster here. Gauge is following the booster. I'm sure people are out on the beach right now, and they have to wait the 30, 40 minutes, or if it takes a bit longer, until they can actually use the road again. But in terms of the rollout, they don't actually keep it blocked off for all too long for one of these rolls.
It's amazing that we're only talking, probably under an hour of the road actually being closed for something this massive rolling all the way out.
Yeah, I mean, I was out on the beach for a campfire after Flight 2, and then there was a closure happening, and we knew that we couldn't go back into town, but we were able to see the booster rolling. I believe that was a roll to production site that time, and that was just like an extra hour of waiting out there, and we got to be all of 20 feet from this booster, which, I mean, it's just really cool how much they've continued to improve the efficiency here.
It really is. I mean, between how fast they can roll it now, how fast they can fuel it, it's beyond impressive at this point. Also, I'm still trying to think about the path to 37 there, because then there's a bunch of tight curves, and then having to go past 39A, 41, 40, down the roads that way. It's a maze. Just look on Google Maps and you'll see the maze that it would have to take to get there to avoid grades and crazy bridges and everything.
Yeah, some of the junctions are definitely like, yep, they definitely can't go there. They would have to instead go. I mean, I actually want to take a look at how many miles they're actually going to have to travel. I'll get back on that.
Yeah, that's going to be more than an hour roll like here at Starbase. Let's see here. Here's one from Stefan School. I apologize for pronunciation. I'll throw this one to you, Roger. Do we know if they had to replace any of the Raptors because of the aborted static fire?
Yeah, they replaced, I think, maybe all of them. Ryan could probably confirm another time. But we definitely saw that, we got the numbers when there were the 10 Raptors on at that first initial firing. And then we spotted the same serial numbers over at McGregor. So they had taken them off, and they'd taken them back to McGregor, probably for further inspections on that. So, yeah, this should be a new set getting ready for the Flight 12.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of new, we mentioned this as it started rolling here, but as it did that super close by look, we got a better view of that new paint on it. The darker paint on Booster 19 that we're finally getting to see tonight. I don't know if we know the answer to this, but Johannes, I'm sorry about the names tonight, is asking, do we know if it's real paint or some kind of wrap? What do you think, Roger?
Oh, boy. I would think it would have to be paint itself, just for the temperature, some sort of high temperature type paint. I think a wrap would just be too prone to melting, and you don't want any of that FOD coming off by the engines. So if I was to bet, I would bet on paint.
If it was a wrap, I mean, I think they would put like some meme face around it rather than just painted black. So just saying.
They could have put racing stripes or something like that on there to make it go faster.
Exactly. That's what they should have done. Forget the black paint. Put on racing stripes. And by the way, that's not a giraffe, but that is pointing out Gage, who is following behind the booster right there. Go ahead, D.
There are some special paints specifically for fire protective surfaces that sort of foam up when they experience high heat. I would be somewhat surprised if they use one of those, but I'm really curious of the sort of specifics of that paint, if it's something thicker designed to provide insulation or what. Even if they're, I mean, I don't know. There's so many options, but it definitely I would make sense for it to be paint over a wrap or anything.
And shout out to Ryan in the back channel here. Excellent point, Ryan. If it was a wrap, access would be troublesome to get into the back of the aft end of the ship. So, paint makes a lot more sense.
I'm wondering, do we think this has any relation to at the end of the version 2 lifespan when they were trying those steeper approaches and the different kind of angles of which the booster came back? Obviously, we saw some of them had some issues with that high heating based off of one of them not making it down to the water in a full piece eventually. Do you think maybe it's related to thermal protection on the re-entry portion, or at least the return to catch portion?
I'll take a stab at that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, on Flight 10 and Flight 12, Flight 11, they were definitely expanding the envelope of the booster return, trying different angles of attack. Basically, with those two, they had nothing to lose, so they were going to push it as far as they can. As our friend Jack would say, data, more data. So they must have learned a lot. Plus, again, the engine configuration is different. The engines are more exposed on the version 3s, so the heating regime is going to be different than the version 2s. So I think they're taking every precaution, and definitely looking forward to that view when it's coming down and comparing it to what the version 2 ships did. As you can see, I think they actually had cork, didn't they, underneath there for kind of an ablative material, and just it was glowing, it was coming down. So yeah, definitely looking forward to what changes and how that improves, and see what SpaceX has to say about it, if anything.
We will definitely have to see what they say. Hopefully they say something. I mean, they just released a whole half-hour video almost explaining everything up to this point. It would be kind of funny to then cut to another Elon Starship update saying, yes, it is partially painted black now. And it is also shiny. And it is also tall.
Yeah, that was an incredible update. I'm just feel so much more informed by that one.
Oh, man. You can see how bright these lights are as they go by. What is that? That is tall. Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right there. Kevin, Michael Reed coming in with an Elon level update here. If it wasn't 1 in the morning, I would say do the breaking news stinger, but it's probably a little too late for that. But yes, also the lights following behind it are bright. In fact, some of them are even pointed backwards, which is crazy. And also directly in the line of sight of that light is Gage driving along, continuing to track the booster as it makes its way out towards the launch site. There it is. Gosh, that has got to be blinding. And I think...
Hey, Sawyer.
Yeah.
Gage could use some sunglasses, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. And hey, what do you know? There's a Super Chat goal for that. 5 of them, and we get Gage some sunglasses so he doesn't go blind by security. Yeah, it's supposed to be blinded me with science, not blinded me with whatever these lights are. Let me thank some people here. Mr. Fluffy, earlier about your comment, D, going, yay! Even though it was the incorrect opinion. And yes.
I saw a mention from Chris in the back channel that we were all picking the wrong coast, so I don't think we'll ever all fully agree on the correct coast.
Given that he's the head honcho, I will have to agree then the Yorkshire coast is absolutely the best coast. I can't even say it with a straight face. I'm sorry, Chris. You can fire me. I can't do it. Oh my gosh, whoever you are now my favorite user ever. Pun Token, gifting a Red Team membership. Yes, it is on the screen. It is a real name, and it is not my alt account. I love it.
I don't believe you, Sawyer. So, Sawyer, very kind of you to gift that Red Team membership.
Mr. Space, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. TechRun asking, so if this flight does well, we're looking at a ship catch for Flight 13, right?
That would be a no.
Oh, go ahead. What do you think?
No, Elon's even stated so that they want to have 2 successful ship re-entries. We'll have to see what the flight regime is for Flight 13. If they attempt to go orbital, that would be something interesting, but definitely not a ship catch. They want to be really, really certain on those. But when they do that, that is... We thought booster catching was nuts. Whenever they do a ship catch attempt, that's going to just be insane.
It can't come soon enough, because hopefully if we get that, that means that we will have had a successful Flight 12 and Flight 13 if we get that booster catch on Flight 14. So that's why it can't come soon enough. So hopefully we get these 2 successful flights in here. Fluffy coming in with a $20 super chat saying, thank you, Sawyer, D, Roger, Kevin, Jan, God, Vincent, DJ, Michael, Reed. Okay, I'm giving up all the NSF crew in chat. The community is wonderful and has helped me through difficult times. Even in my WCBC, love is partly to annoy Sawyer. I appreciate the honesty on that. No, but genuinely, it's good to have you in the community here, Fluffy. We appreciate you. Always good to see your name, so thank you. Ernie Gibson contributing towards Gage's Sunglasses Fund, saying no white cane for Gage. Also, Fluffy, I don't know why yours didn't count towards the goal, but it counts in my book. How about that? Let's see. Get into some more questions here. Got some more stuff coming in about Pad 37. So, D, you did the numbers on how long it would have to take for the rollout, because obviously this one that we've seen here is already approaching the pad over here, over at Pad 2. What was the numbers looking like for a transport to 37?
Yeah, so given the path I believe it would have to take going by the VAB, it hits the 5-mile mark about halfway between the VAB and 39A, and then it reaches up to 14 actually to get into the pad. So that seems like, I mean, if it's going 2 miles an hour, that would be 7 hours. So maybe if they start that at midnight and arrive at 7 a.m. But I wouldn't be too surprised if they would try to do like a split roll where it starts at Gigabay perhaps, but maybe they're able to pause by 39A. And that's about the 7-mile mark, and then they can get it past the VAB and where a lot of the KSC traffic takes place when it's not busy, they can get it past those areas. They can pause during a work day to not interrupt traffic, and then they can do the rest of the roll later. I wonder exactly how the logistics of that will go in the near term, because of course they're not even building them out here on the Space Coast in the near term. They're going to be transporting them. So I expect things are going to change dramatically over the next few years with exactly how the logistics go.
Yeah, that's going to be fascinating. Also, the fact that most of that route is going to pass through all of the major launch pads at the Cape or be within very close proximity to pads that are in operation, and that if are choosing to launch at the same time SpaceX wants to roll, and they're not going to be able to do the full 7-hour journey, that could be interesting too. It's going to have hopefully some rocket bottlenecks, meaning that there's so many launches and things going on that we might get backed up on the roads trying to get vehicles out to their pads. Let's continue on here. Here's one from Ninja Guy Dan. And Roger, I don't know if you know the answer to this one, but they're asking, are the steel ring segments the same height for the booster as they are for the ship, approximately 6 feet high?
Yeah, I believe so. They're all the same height in there because they got the robotic welders, and the sheet steel, the coils that come in would be all uniform to the same height. So yeah, it's like under 6 feet. I forget what the metric measurement is, but as far as I know, yeah, they are all the same size, except there might be certain little things, but I think the rings themselves are going to be about 6 feet.
If you liked it, then you should have put a 6-foot ring on it.
Ouch.
Is that even a modern reference at this point anymore? I don't know.
It's modern enough. Don't make everyone here feel old.
Feel old. I'm sorry. I'm older than you, D.
And
Kids.
There. Let's see here. Golden Floof and no, that's not Jake's alter account here. That would be Orange Floof. With a speculative question here. Do you think the first caught ship will be the first reused, kind of like New Glenn Stage 1, or the second caught ship, like Super Heavy? Ooh. What do you think?
I can jump in real quick with some gut reaction of, I know they've recovered stuff out of the ocean and gotten information, but if I had to guess, I think they're going to really want to get all that information from that first recovered ship. So sorry, I want to listen into this.
Yeah. That does not get old.
Not one bit. That such a lovely sound.
Also, curse them for rolling at night, so it's harder to see inside to see if we could see any of the numbers on the Raptors.
But in terms of recovery, even if they do, I would be a little bit surprised if they opt to refly the very first caught ship. But even if they do, I wouldn't be surprised if they fly another ship before they fly that first ship again, so that they can do the teardowns, do the inspections, and really make sure they have an understanding of everything that the ship went through in flight and any impacts that it could have for that second flight.
Yeah, it's interesting also then to see New Glenn just went, you know what, we caught it, we're going to fly it again. And the booster portion, at least, worked, from the looks of it, perfectly back to back. I don't know if that, SpaceX is still going to SpaceX and say, oh, we'll do the one after that, or if they're seeing that and going, hey, we're confident in our vehicle too, so let's try it. Like you're saying, I wouldn't put it past them to just go ahead and say, cool, we caught it, and fly it again, and that's it. Or if they're going to use this to check the data, make any upgrades that they can to 40, if they want to make any of them after this flight, and then say, you know what, that's the one that once it returns, we will, or 41, that once we catch it, it'll fly again. Or whatever the one ends up being.
I know Ryan has sort of said that, Starship's at a really crucial point before. I know he said that, and I feel like it really is. They're past the early testing stages. And, hi, Gage!
Hey, Gage.
They really want these flights to go well. They're working in the very, very near term towards operational flights, be it for Starlink and then flights for the Artemis program. So, any one setback or, being grounded would be a huge setback for them. So I'm sure while they need to move fast, they really can't have a flight that ends because they didn't spend a bit of extra time to make sure the ship was ready to be reflown.
Absolutely. And it looks like now they're getting ready to turn in here towards the pad, which, Roger, those chopsticks look pretty open and ready.
Yeah, they're getting ready for. We'll see how soon they get there and lift. It might be pretty quick, but I mean, the last time it came down there, it took a little bit for them to get the actual lift going. But at least they've done this before. They've worked out all the bugs out of that particular process. So each time they do it, they get more and more information, and they'll be rolling back in. And those chopsticks are been doing their thing. I know they're shorter than what we're used to from the other pad, but they're spot on for right now. It'll be interesting to see how they work when you actually get a vehicle coming down and landing on them.
Also, spot on are those spotlights on the arms. I do like that on the chopsticks. Come on, nothing.
Oh, you nailed it.
Haha, haha. It gave me one of those deep exhales where it's like, yeah, that was funny, but not enough to like laugh.
Is it enough for a pun token? Which pun token with another super chat here? Totally not a transition to that. Saying Sawyer is awesome. This isn't Sawyer. No, really.
You know, hearing those words come out of your mouth doesn't make it particularly, I'm not particularly convinced here.
Yeah, I'm not
But
helping my own case
seriously,
by reading that.
Pun token, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I've already spent you, it seems like, but thank you. Apocalypse Cow gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Danger Moo, with the boom at the end, which is not super awesome when we're talking about Starship, hopefully. Mr. Coffee gifting a Red Team membership. And then Benu Berry saying, not going to lie, the first ship catch is going to be terrifying. Also asking, Roger, I'll throw this one to you, about how high above the tower will it be flip and burning? Can't wait. Do we know yet
boy.
for Pad 2?
I'm not sure. I mean, we've got the information from what we've seen on the ocean landings, but that's just hard to get. From that perspective, you have no reference point as far as how high it was when it did the burn. But what I'm looking forward to, I mean, from the orbital trajectory, it probably is going to be coming from the southwest up over, over Mexico and maybe just coming across to Texas there. And if that's the case, I mean, Dee, you've been there. Can you imagine being at River or at the outpost and looking up and seeing a ship flying straight over your head? That is going to be, I don't know how to describe that.
It's something I have been thinking about for at least since Flight 5. Just how wild it will be when that ship actually comes back to return, because it's one thing. It's hard to even start to say this and downplay the booster, because the booster return is incredible. Watching this skyscraper turn around and return, it's gonna be a completely new challenge and exciting moment to just be looking up in the sky for what would be a pinpoint of light and trying to find it, and having it actually pass overhead as it's getting closer. That's going to be a wild moment, and I cannot wait.
That is going to be insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain.
Thank you, D. Oh, man. But yeah. Once that maneuver happens, it is going to be so cool to see. It's going to be slightly terrifying, for being perfectly honest here.
Well, it'd be interesting on that approach. I mean, like with Falcon 9s, they aim to miss the drone ship. And then they only correct at the very last second. It's like, where are they going to be aiming this initially? I would imagine at the beach or the Gulf. And then seeing at what point do they do the correction to go for the landing.
Yeah, I mean, with Booster, they're sort of, even though they're not aiming for the tower immediately, like, it's moving in the general direction, but it's going to have to totally flip its direction when it's ship coming back. So it'll have to be going for the flats or, like you said, the Gulf, and just do a huge turnaround to position itself for the chopsticks.
It's going to be so cool. Let's see. John H. is wondering then, do you think that the ship would ever land in the chopsticks with people on board? That's a wild thought.
We
Not
are.
well. Yeah, go ahead, D.
No, please go ahead.
I'm thinking humans on Starship, not for a long, long time. If you go by, the Demo 2 flight, that was 50 flights into the Falcon 9 before they felt comfortable putting humans on there. We're at Flight 12. If you go by the same, count on Starship. So that's a long ways away. And we'll see. I mean, by that time you get to there, you're going to have a lot of catches under your belt. And I'm sure they'll do the crash test dummies and all the sensors and things on there, so they'll know what the crew would experience. But yeah, don't hold your breath on that for the next, I would say, 3 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, if they are in 4 to 5 years' time at that point, I would be shocked, because the safety systems, even Dragon at first was like exploring the use of propulsive landing, and I believe they've moved towards the point, I forget which the first flight was, but where they can use the propulsion as a backup in the event of parachute failure. I think that was around the time of Polaris or Crew 7 where they started to introduce that, but that was only in the event of parachute failure, and the parachutes are by far just like the tested, tried and true method for human spaceflight return. And so it's such a different thing. I'd be shocked if even flight 100 or 150 would have people landing propulsively and being caught in the ship. I think, and the good thing about the Starship program is, since it's going for full reusability, they're going to get to that point faster than any other rocket, realistically. I don't quote me on that numbers wise, but they are going to rapidly speed up here, and once they are reusing ships, we'll just have to wait and see. It is speculation. We're so early to consider it, but once it's proven that it's reliable enough, that'll be very impressive.
Hey, you don't need parachutes. Just ask Jebediah Kerman. He's gone many times without parachutes in my saves and to mixed results.
Litho braking is not an option.
Oh, darn. Again, getting really close here to the pad where it will likely roll towards those chopsticks, and hopefully sometime, now that it is technically today, it is 12:28 a.m. Central Time in Starbase, we will see that lift and mount onto pad 2, hopefully for this next testing campaign. So, I guess as we're nearing this, I want to get some predictions. What kind of testing do you think we'll see, and do you think they will keep it out at the pad after said testing? Roger, I'll start with you.
I think the first thing is need to get the ship out there. They need to do a full wet dress rehearsal. They got to test out the GSC, especially up to the ship quick disconnect, and making sure that all goes properly. So for me, that would be priority number one. Priority number two is doing another static fire with the booster, making sure the deluge system is working well, making sure all the engines are doing what they have to do. Hopefully it'll be all 33 engines. Then I think in various order, probably before static fire, the ship would go back for the final touches, final inspections, making sure everything's ready. Same with the booster. And once that's ready, it shouldn't take too long, and then get back out to the pad. And once they stack for flight, it launches pretty darn quick. It's usually a day or two now.
I don't know, D, what do you think? What kind of testing do you think we'll see out here? And then do you expect them to keep it out at the pad or roll it back?
I think Roger nailed it. I think it'll roll back. I think we're going to have to see a static fire and a full wet dress here. Like they want to make sure all the systems are good from the deluge to the pad as a whole, both vehicles. Like they've got some work ahead of flight still, but we are very, very close. And I think it's going to be an exciting few days here.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some of the pictures that are coming in from the field. There's definitely a lot of static fire hardware, it appears, installed, according to Ryan Weber in the back channel, which I know some of these are being posted over on the socials. So if you're not following us over on any of our MSF socials, X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, you totally should. And of course, if you're a member, you'll get to see these photos. Different levels of membership gets access to different amounts of these photos. So yeah, if you're not a member, it's a good chance to join and see some of these photos from our team out in the field from the roll tonight. Of course, everything leading up to Flight 12, which per all the paperwork is now no earlier than the 15th. That's only 9 days from now. And a reminder, you've seen our launch coverage before. You know we have members multi-views. We have all of the pre-launch streams, the launch streams. There's a lot that happens, and members get a good amount of access to that. Man, it is beautiful booster. Sorry, I went to look at questions and looked back over the screen. It's like, oh, that is an awesome shot. Let me thank some people here real quick. Turtle Sanctuary, so next Tuesday is the 12th. I imagine the NSF team is already switching to no sleep mode. Have fun, stay safe. Yes, you're right. We have a super massive important flight coming up, and I know all the team is going to be out in full force for CRS-34, is it? Right, D? That's coming up over on the Space Coast on the 12th.
Yep,
One of the
it's a big flight happening on the 12th. It's a big one. We are all getting ready. It's wild to think about it. You know, it's been quiet on the Cape here, but the things are picking up at Starbase to make up for it.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Although there is currently on the 12th CRS-34, which is an ISS resupply mission from Pad 40 with a landing at LZ-40. So can't ignore that. That's actually pretty cool. But
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's essential for our continual presence in space.
Absolutely. And then, yeah, as of now, no earlier than 3 days later is Starship. So, of course, even while CRS-34 is going on, the team will still be all in on Starship. For the people saying they're confused if it's May 12th or 13th, the latest that we saw from the local notice to mariners that was put out has moved the date from the 12th to the 15th. So, for those wondering, or they're a little confused, it was pushed to no earlier than the 15th based off of the paperwork that we've seen. Let me see. Rocket Profit getting towards Gage's Sunglass Fund, saying, all I wanted was a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi? I'm sure there's a reference that I'm totally missing with that. And also I had Dr. Pepper tonight, not Pepsi. And then Revhead with the 10 pounds, also towards Gage's Glasses Fund. Thank you for the support there as well. Appreciate it. No message, but still appreciate it. We've got, what, 2.5 minutes to get one more to get Gage's sunglasses here. And we're not talking like ZZ Top, where it's cheap sunglasses, apparently. Yeah, I'm being told it's a song reference that I'm missing here. Yeah, I didn't get it. I'm sorry, okay?
I don't get it either.
Roger, save us.
No, but if he gets the sunglasses, he'll be a sharp-dressed man.
Oh. Wait, I can't tell if that's Kevin or Chris in chat as NASASpaceflight. They're saying Sawyer is old. He doesn't know new songs. You are correct. That's why I knew ZZ Top with cheap sunglasses more than that. So, and yeah, it is Kevin. Thanks, Kevin. Much love to you, older than me person. Anyway, Revhead coming in with the final 10 pounds, making it official that we've got Gage's sunglasses. Future so bright, gotta wear shades. Also, Joseph Tatum saying, give Max his glasses back. And Venu coming in here with another good question, saying, excluding Artemis, do we think V3 will be flying commercial astronauts, or will that be more so V4? Ooh. Good thought question. Roger, what do you think?
Flying commercial, I guess, where? I don't think you're going to be launching crew with version 3 on there. If there's a reason to have some sort of payload and, docking with it, I'm trying to envision what kind of mission a version 3 could do that involves crew. I know, we're looking at vast and private space stations and things like that, but that's not really Starship centric. I don't know. D, you got any thoughts on what that could be?
I mean, it could be vast, but it is vast station utilizing Starship is still a bit away. It's not their Haven 1, which will be utilizing Dragon for 2-year lifespan with Dragon missions. I think the commercial missions, because of the launch requirement, will probably be staying Dragon for a little bit here. And SpaceX moved so quickly from version 1 of Starship now to version 3. I almost wonder if there isn't some sort of intermediate where they start to do something using Starship as almost a station in low Earth orbit, but I think we're a bit away from getting anything solid on that. Of course, beyond Artemis, which we can expect some Earth orbit operations with potentially Starship.
Yeah, one thing I'm looking forward to was... sorry, go ahead.
No, I want to hear what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, not necessarily crewed missions, but down the road, let's give it a couple, 3 years, or where we are 5 years, like with Falcon 9. This thing can launch a lot of stuff to space. I mean, big stuff. We talk about Curiosity, the Mars rovers. This thing could probably get there with 5 to 10 of them, at a time. I envision... Imagine if you could take the next generation of James Webb's telescope, instead of sticking it in Ariane and folding it up like that, you've got all that room. You can put a bigger one in there. And just the possibilities of this thing have me just so excited.
Heck, you could make this thing into its own space station. Just have a couple of these connected, 1 or 2 of them, and you're talking ISS sized here with actually probably more room.
Yeah, isn't it volume-wise 2 starships equal 1 space station? Is that the ratio we're at right now?
I believe it is. So, I don't know.
Well, that begs, again, I'm getting off subject here.
No,
Payload base. Yeah, we've seen the slot for the Starlinks. Down the road, we're going to see something shuttle style that's going to open with that 9-meter diameter, and you take a little bit away from the hinges and things like that. But what's that going to look like? What's the docking adapter going to look like on the HLS version? Hopefully, we will see that this year, because they got to be getting that thing out there, and we'll be definitely keeping close eyes on what that vehicle is going to look like.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's the other thing with SpaceX is if there's not a destination of any kind, they will make their own destination. So it's SpaceX. They'll come up with some kind of habitat or some kind of goal to be able to send things to it, just like they wanted more launches on the books. Starlink. That gives you plenty of launches on the books.
Well, that's what really helped them with Falcon 9, as far as they had to prove to the world that the Falcon 9 was a reliable vehicle. So they put their own money in that basket. They launched with their own stuff. And it's like if they lost it, well, they would just write that out and launch again. But the Starlinks proved that vehicle was as reliable, and look at what it's doing now.
That is true. It's so weird that the success of Starship means the end of Falcon. It's still crazy to think.
No. I think Falcon's going to be around for a little while. I mean, yeah, Starship's going to be real efficient, but it's going to be doing a lot of things. And I'm hoping, not necessarily with SpaceX, with all the vendors. I want a fleet. I want, I want ships and vehicles from the size of Volkswagens to semi trucks and everything in between. It's just going to be incredible seeing all these things go and have their various niches.
Well, it's going to have to be bigger than an old Tesla, because obviously Falcon Heavy already did that job.
Yeah,
They're going to launch the Tesla Semi.
Oh my gosh. I would not put it past them. Just saying.
I know.
I
know a certain grade minivan that they should launch. That's my one I'm rooting for.
You know, that'd be really cool. I doubt they will do one of those. They're so quickly getting to the point where the flights are operational, so maybe once they have a version change and they have an uncertain goal, like perhaps, but now they're really testing the systems. With Falcon Heavy, it was like just making sure the system works, and it was their first Falcon Heavy flight. They've sort of made sure the system works here, and they're really testing even still deployment systems for the satellites. So I would doubt we're gonna see a vehicle, a like wheeled Tesla vehicle launched on Starship, but it'd be funny.
It would, but I do like the idea of a final send-off for Danger Van. SpaceX,
It'd be the best case scenario for sure.
Yeah, SpaceX, make it happen. We know you watch our streams from the video that we saw. Help us out. Oh, boy. Speaking of videos, someone pointed out here that they rewatched the SN-15 launch yesterday as it was the 5-year anniversary. They're saying, now I'm watching this booster roll up to this new launch pad, and SpaceX has grown up into a real space company. Has it been
Yesterday
5
was
years?
the 5-year mark. That was my first trip to Starbase.
What in the world is time? Yeah, apparently we've hit 5 years since they finally landed a Starship and it didn't explode afterwards. Oh, I was already feeling old. Thanks.
Wow. That's...
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, let's move on before I feel even worse. Mr. Coffee gifting a Red Team membership. Elizabeth Hopner gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Good to see your name. Philip Anderson wondering, D, lift off at 39A, then landing the booster at 37, question mark?
That would be the fastest way to get a booster from 39A to 37 for sure. So I think we were potentially a little bit slow on that estimation. I think maybe like 4 or 5 miles an hour might be the rollout speed, and of course it slows down with like turns and the like. So maybe with the straightaways at KSC, they would be going a bit faster. But still, it'd be a multi-hour process, ignoring like the effort of stacking. But if they rolled out a vehicle to 39A and then could instantly fuel it and launch it, I mean, that would be the fastest way to get those last, like, 10 miles. Just a short trip to space and back.
Also, I think I misread that. It was 5 years, not 15. SN-15 was 5 years ago. But, yeah. Oh, man, that would be so cool. And although at that point, you just juggle, 39A, 37, launch 37, catch 39A, 39A, over to 37.
Hey, we want to do some refurb on this booster after this flight. Let's land it at 39A instead. And, that would bring up the question of, currently they're moving towards returning the vehicles towards the pad they launch at when they're RTLS. So I'd wonder if they would even be allowed to, or if SpaceX would even want to do a booster return to a different launch pad. I mean, maybe if they're... I'm trying to imagine if they're trying to launch rapidly from one set of launch pads, maybe it makes sense to have the removal of the booster happening from a different launch pad, but I think we're at least a year and a half away from that being a discussion.
Now I want to see a cartoon like Daily Hopper, someone do a meme where it's just all the different pads at KSC juggling, like tossing one from 39A, catching at 37, tossing from 37 over to 39A, a little juggling act. Turtle Sanctuary, Roger, could the header tank be relocated to the aft of the ship?
I think the problem with that is center of mass on the ship. They, have the header tank in the nose right now. Otherwise, you think about in the ship, you've got the aft flaps and you've got the engines down there, so it's kind of bottom heavy. But that being said, when you get to the HLS version, I think the renders we've seen, the docking port is in the nose. So where does the header tank go, and how do they manipulate that? I don't know, probably ring watchers or somebody has a better feel for that than I do. But I'm definitely going to see what that changes and how they're allowing for that in the version 3 ships.
If they're shrinking the forward flaps, like maybe they don't need the extra mass if they have control from aft flaps. I wonder how the ship will continue to evolve.
Oh, yeah. And also, technically, then, would it not be a header tank if it's in the aft? That'd be a bottom tank? A tailer tank?
Yeah, maybe for the naming. But you also think, the transfer tube in the booster, I mean, it is basically its own tank there, that they're using for the landing. So, again, we need to get a drone or a grackle with a camera on it inside one of those ships so we can get a full view of what's going on in there.
Yeah. And then Smart Money saying this is such an amazing time to be alive. Yes, it is. It really is. And I'm already starting to mix up dates and times and everything, so I think this is a perfect time to wrap things up here now that it looks like the booster is safely nestled inside the cradle of where those chopsticks will be able to close onto it and lift it onto the mount. We don't know when exactly that's going to be, though. It's very likely to be today. So, of course, you can keep up with everything over at Starbase Live, our 24/7 live cameras of everything happening down at Starbase, Texas, so you can see when it happens. And, of course, once it does, we'll also be posting about it on all of the NSF socials. So, as mentioned earlier, if you're not following there, now would be a great time to do so that way you know when they start lifting this. And then, of course, once they begin testing it, we will do all of our dedicated streams for that. But for now, I want to thank the people that were here for tonight's dedicated stream. Dee, thank you for joining.
Of course, it was an absolute pleasure to hang out this early morning for this rollout. The hype is certainly building for this launch.
Absolutely. And thank you, Roger, for joining as well.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's such a pleasure, as Dee said. It's great hanging out with you guys. Our community is just the best. You guys are all awesome out there. Yeah, stay tuned for tomorrow. We got camera operators on SBL all day, and if you're not familiar, we do Raptor radio. If something happens, you'll hear a boop, and we'll start talking.
Absolutely. And Kevin Michael Reed pushing the buttons, pulling the levers. And then, of course, out in the field, we had Gage, who was driving behind it. We also had Caesar and Colleen out there. So if you remember, keep an eye out for some of the photos that will be coming from the field team. I think I thought I thanked everybody at this point. Oh, yeah, him. The host, I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I've been your host for this rollout to Pad 2 ahead of Flight 12. God, that's cool to say. And yeah, we will see you all for the next one.
And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange!
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god. Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.